I used to have a job making calendars, but I took a day off, so they fired me. Hey folks, welcome to This Week in History. Let's roll on out. On March 7th in 1799, Napoleon captured the Ottoman city of Jaffa after a 4-day siege. What followed was 2 days of the French raping and pillaging, and then the executions of over 2,000 prisoners. In 1900, the German ship SS Kaiser Wilhelm der Grosse became the first ship in history to send a wireless signal to shore. On March 8th in 1658, the Danes and Swedes signed the Treaty of Roskilde, ending the Great Northern War and giving up roughly half of Denmark-Norway's territory. In 1782, 96 Native Americans in Gannatahutten, Ohio, who had assimilated into the local culture and converted to Christianity, were killed by Pennsylvania militiamen in retaliation for raids carried out by other tribes in the Gannatahutten Massacre. By the way, I tried to find a proper way to pronounce Gannatahutten or Gannatahutten or whatever, but I couldn't find a consensus pronunciation, so that's what you get. On March 9th of 1500, Pedro Alvarez Cabral and his fleet began their journey from Lisbon to the New World. This fleet would end up discovering Brazil. And yeah, I understand they didn't technically discover it because there was already like a Brazilian people there. In 1847, the first large-scale amphibious assault in U.S. history was launched during the siege of Veracruz as part of the Mexican-American War. In 1862, at the Battle of Hampton Roads, the USS Monitor and CSS Virginia fought to a draw in the first battle between two ironclads. We did a whole video about that a while back if you want to check it out. On March 10th of 241 BC, the First Punic War came to an end after the Roman naval forces sank the Carthaginian fleet at the Battle of Aegates. In 1629, the English Parliament was dissolved by Charles I, beginning his 11-year period of personal rule that ended with the English Civil War. And of course, a huge shout out to our Patreons, Steve Stevens and Clayton James. I give you folks a sincere thank you. And if anybody else wants to get in on that action, well, check out the link down below. And now, something new. We call it the French and Indian War because the normal naming technique of the time was to name a war after the current monarch, and seeing as the French and Indian War was the fourth of the French and Indian Wars, the others being King William's War, Queen Anne's War, and King George's War, and well, we did have a new king, but his name was also George, so that's a no-go. So, who were we fighting? The French and Indians? Okay, well, there's your war's name. Moving on. On March 11th in 222, Alexander Severus became Emperor of Rome after the death of Elagabalus, whose body was dragged through the streets and thrown into the Tiber River. We did a video about old Elagabalus, and yeah, he was something. In 1864, the Dale Dyke Dam failed while the reservoir was being filled near Sheffield, England, killing at least 240 people in what is known as the Great Sheffield Flood. On March 12th, 1928, the St. Francis Dam failed outside Los Angeles, California, resulting in at least 431 deaths. I swear I'm starting to sound like the damn news. On March 13th, 1567, the 80 Years' War, guess how that got its name, began at the Battle of Oosterweel between Spanish forces and Dutch rebels fighting for independence. In 1781, William Herschel discovered Uranus. And because I know, yeah, some of y'all want to hear it, William Herschel discovered Uranus. And that's just gonna about do it for this week, but we'll see you back here next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Be happy, be healthy, and be good to each other.